are we supposed to make of the latest quarter from PVH, the apparel titan behind Calvin Klein and Tommy Hilfiger? Here's a company that seemed to be making a really strong comeback. Stock's up 40% for the year in the wake of several strong quarters. But as we enter the holiday season, some of the old negative themes have come back, creeping into the picture. A strong dollar, weakness for many mall-based retailers, maybe. Which brings me to tonight. After the close, PVH reported a substantially better than expected quarter. But they gave guidance that I found a little bit disappointing. The company delivered a 20-cent earnings beat, pretty amazing, off a $2.40 basis, slightly higher than expected revenue, up 3.7% year over year. Beat was fueled by the strength of their Calvin Klein brand, particularly in Europe and China. However, PVH's sales and earnings forecast for the next quarter came in below what the analysts are looking for. Wall Street cares about the future as much as the past, so we got to figure out what is going on. Is PVH merely being conservative after a very good quarter? Maybe we should be worried. Let's check in with Manny Chirico, Chairman and CEO of PVH. Learn more about the quarter and where his company's headed. Mr. Chirico, welcome back to Mad Money.
Yeah,
Manny, I haven't seen you. Manny, I don't know. This was one of the biggest beats in all the years you've been coming on, one of the biggest beats, and yet I detect from the guidance that you almost want to say to people, don't get ahead of yourselves. But first, let's talk. This was an amazing quarter, wasn't it?
Yeah, we had a very strong quarter, particularly internationally.
Right.
Both in Europe and in Asia, our international comps for Calvin Klein were up double digits, as well for Tommy Hilfiger. So really feel really strongly about the business. Our order book going forward and in Europe is in Calvin is up over 20%, right. and the Tommy Hilfiger business is up 8%.
I mean, to me, this was the quarter where the Warnaco acquisition. I know we got a little sidetracked because Warnaco wasn't as strong as you kind of hope when you got it, but this was the quarter that showed that this may be the real driver for PVH.
Well, I think that's right, but I would say the whole year has been a real driver. We've through the 9 months, we've been substantially beating our guidance, and I guess through the middle of last year. So business has been surprisingly strong, particularly internationally, and I think we're being cautiously optimistic, conservative about how the holiday season's coming together. But we've, based on Black Friday, we feel pretty good about how business is.
That's what I want to go into. We're in a very fluid situation in this country, Manny. I detect from the merchants that I speak to and from the CEOs I speak to that literally there has been post-election, whether it's because of the resolution of it or because people like what's happening, that there is a bit more spend, a bit more go out. Is this just anecdotal on my part? Or are you seeing it in the statistics that you have?
No, we're seeing it in our business directly. The month of let's talk about November.
Yeah, okay,
the month of November. The week before the election, the week after, business was tough in North America. All of a sudden, the last 2 weeks, as we started to go into Black Friday and right after it, we've seen in our retail business a significant improvement in trends. The question is now, we've got a big holiday season in front of us. As we always are, we're being conservative as we're projecting the year and the balance of this quarter. So we'll see how it is. Trends right now, the last 2 weeks are running ahead of plan, and margins are running significantly out of plan.
If that's the case, then I'm sensing that a Macy's, a JCPenney, a Kohl's, they're not having to discount, that they're able to actually have a good holiday season so far.
Well, all right, I don't want to get into talk about anybody else's business, but I'll say my business in those channels of distribution is very strong. Terry Lundgren was on, so I'm just quoting him. He was on CNBC on Black Friday. He said Tommy Hilfiger was on fire. So we feel really good about how that business is proceeding.
But that is a nice change, because that was one of the areas I wanted to ask you about. The North American Tommy Hilfiger, you weren't that happy with.
Well, look, our wholesale businesses in department stores very strong. Our retail businesses for the first 9 months of the year has been tough. We've talked about the international tourists. We've talked about the dollar really causing some issues there. And that trend continued in the third quarter, despite the big beat we had. We started to see, as we got into the second half of November and into as we're going to go now into early December, there seems to be some momentum. I think we're also starting to lap some of the dollar strengthening that happened this time last year, where we were up against a much weaker dollar prior to that. So again, we're feeling good about it, but I don't think this is the time to go running in.
No.
There's a lot of noise out there, be it the election, be what the ramifications of that is. I know there's some Wall Street seems to be celebrating the election, which is great. But Mr. Trump's got to take over. There's a lot of questions about exactly what it means for trade and what it means for the dollar going forward. All those things just cause us to be cautious in our projections.
Don't have to worry about Trump ties coming back.
I think I'm wearing one.
There you go. Europe and Asia had been points of, at times, pain, particularly Europe. Are you surprised that Europe's as strong as it is, given what we read about over there?
I think two things are going on. I think Europeans are staying in the European market, given where the currencies are. So the UK, I know Brexit, everybody's nervous about what it means going forward. But right now, business couldn't be better in the UK. Sales are very strong. Given the weakening of that currency, the euro is buying more in that market, so more Europeans and more Americans are in that market. There's more shopping going on in that market, and we're big beneficiaries.
And China's a win, isn't it?
Yeah, well, two things for us. Our Calvin business, which we've been running now for the last 4 years directly, and now just taking over the Tommy business in the second quarter of this year, that business has really been posting strong growth, continues to be our fastest growing market, highest operating margins within the company. So that's going to be an area of strength as we go.
Online, Amazon?
Continues to be a small piece of business as a percentage of the total, fastest growing, and will continue and starting to become nicely profitable.
How about that surprise Van Heusen?
Say that again?
Van Heusen.
Well, our Van Heusen brand, in that mid-tier channel, with Kohl's in particular, and JCPenney has been very, very strong. The Flex collar has been an innovation for the dress shirt market, and it's just, it's the #1 seller in that channel.
All right, now talk about, there's a lot of consolidation, talk about Kors getting bought, talk about more apparel coming together. There are too many players. Any thoughts on it?
Look, acquisitions are a big part of our growth. I mean, you talk about Calvin, Tommy, Warnaco, and I think in the future it will be. I think the next 6 to 12 months, I think our focus will be on, if there is acquisitions, it will tend to be more in the reacquiring some of the licensed businesses with Calvin and Tommy. And then, look, we are, given the fact that we've paid off about $1.5 billion in debt the last 2 years.
Machine.
It is a cash flow machine, and I think we will be looking for acquisitions.
Excellent. Let's leave it at that. Manny Chirico, Chairman and CEO of PVH Corp. Monster beat quarter. I think conservative on the guidance. Mad Money's back in. Booyah! Jim Cramer here from Mad Money. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube. Click here to subscribe and get the jump on my exclusives with CEOs. Plus, market news, investing advice, and a whole lot more.